Hi, Andrea. So good to see you guys here. Okay, give me one quick second. Okay, we are recording. Awesome. Keep my eye on the waiting room. Big congratulations, Andrea, for joining Sales Academy. Yay! Oh my God, we're so excited. Sydney's been messaging me. She's like, we already have her onboarding booked for tomorrow. We got it ready to go. I'm like, dang, all right. We are on it. Amazing. I'm so excited for you. Okay. Just a couple quick reminders. We do have one more session tomorrow. So Thursday will be our final session. We're going to be wrapping up with, I'm going to kind of come in and share like a handful of just some scaling and sales tips and hacks with you guys in general that we just really love in our company, that we teach our clients, that we use to help you guys a little bit with sales. So tomorrow will be a pretty good round out for this week. I know we've covered a lot of stuff. Today, in the replays, you'll have those till next Friday. So those are in the Facebook group. For anyone not in there, you'll want to get in there. And then let me see, I think that was it for reminders, the replay. Sales Academy is open, right? So if you are looking for support, if you want us to kind of help take what we've done here this week and help you do that in a more personalized way, a more hands-on way, if you want help with your offer and your messaging and your sales, all of that, definitely reach out, send me a message on social, and we can chat to see if it's a good fit for you. Okay, so today I'm excited. I'm going to talk to you guys about my content strategy. We call it your welcome content. I really love that. I love the vibe and energy with that. And I really created this because, or the reason I came up with this strategy is because, I think when we look around us, everyone is always saying like content is king. You need to post a lot of content. You need to be in all the places. You have to have a lot, like schedule it out, create weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks worth and be everywhere. And the thing is I fell in that little trap also for a lot of years, where I thought like, oh my God, I have to literally create. And I got to the point where I was spending an entire weekend creating content for the 30 days coming up. And I'm like, things could change. I don't feel like I know what I want to say for 30 full days, right? And also it felt like, wow, this is a lot of time. And then the thing is like, I wasn't getting sales. So like I'm putting all this content out and I'm like, it's not even like producing sales. Like this doesn't make sense. And so I really started thinking about my background in brain science and psychology and how the brain really works, how we operate when we are in sales conversations. And I'm like, if I could create content that would trigger people to want to reach out to me and talk to me about how I help my clients, that would be awesome. And that would be worth it. And so I created your welcome content, and your welcome content really came from this place of like, I'm not going to put out tips and quotes and all this stuff anymore. I'm going to put out content that means something to me. So when I post it, if I say it, I mean it. If I said it, I'm not apologizing for it. I'm not taking it back. I'm not erasing it. If I said it, I mean it. And so I really kind of leaned into this place of creating content that was more focused on what was on my heart and what was on my mind versus let me create 70 tips for the month. Let me create, 50 quotes. Let me come up with like all this branded Canva stuff. And it didn't even produce a result really at the end of the day. One of the most important things you guys want to remember when it comes to creating content, you guys are not content creators. Gary Vee is a content creator. We're service providers. So there's a difference, and I think it's important to understand the difference. A content creator uses social media to create a lot of content to get a lot of followers and views. That's Gary Vee. That's what Gary Vee does. Gary Vee has a team of 500 people, and they post content all day, every day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. He does that because he's a content creator. He gets his views, he gets his followers, he gets his fans. That's his goal with social media. He is a content creator. We are service providers. So what does that mean? It means that we are leveraging social media specifically for sales. We are looking to get clients and we are looking to make money, right? I think we can all agree on that. And so when you understand the difference, you understand that the way in which you go to market has to flex, right? If you're a content creator, then your job is to create content all day long, tips, quotes, this, that, repurpose, like all the things. If you're looking for sales, you need to put top of mind content out that's going to trigger someone to want to talk to you about working with you. So your content's going to do one of two things. It's going to get you heart, likes, or comments, right? Or maybe nothing, or it's going to get you sales conversations. Everybody here wants sales conversations. So when I kind of sat back and thought about that, I'm like, I don't care about vanity metrics because 700 people could comment on a post, heart it, or like it, and I make no money off that. So that's irrelevant to me. Like, that wasn't what I was trying to do. I would rather no one engage and I got a sale or two out of it, right? And so I think once I realized that, that was when I sat down and I said, I need to change my content strategy. I need to put blindfolders on to what everybody else around me is telling me. All these marketers are saying you got to create all this content, do all these things, and be here and there, and it's going to be this way and branded and all this stuff. And I kind of just quieted that and set that to the side. And I focused on me because I'm the brand, right? So I focused on what kinds of content and topics and things do I like to talk about? What do I get excited about? What am I passionate about? And what is going to help people see my content and say, dang, I want to check her out. I want to talk to her. I'm curious about that. I'm interested in that, right? And get people actually taking action. And so I sat down, and this is where I came up with what we call your welcome content. It is something that we teach in our programs and that we help our clients with. Here's basically what this means. Your welcome content is basically an energy. So it's a little bit less about a strategy, although we do have a strategy for it. It's a little bit less about a strategy, it's more about your energy. Remember yesterday I talked about like how I'm the best at what I do and how I will stand here and be like, absolutely, it's this much. You're welcome. That is the energy. The energy behind your content is a level of confidence. It's a level of certainty. It's a level of, like, if you think about Nike, right? They have their slogan, just do it. When you think about that, like they've never changed that. Like they stand behind it. Like that's just their brand. That's their thing. When I create content, I want to infuse my energy, my passion, what I'm excited about, what I'm so good at, what I like talking about, and bring my attitude and my personality and my own ways into it because I want people to recognize me, not a quote with a pretty pink Canva image in the background that is a quote that like didn't change anybody's life today, right? And it didn't produce a sale for me. So your welcome content is more of an energy. It is the energy of you're creating from an intentional place and you're sharing something that you are passionate about or that's on your heart or mind to say. And the type of content that we typically encourage our clients to post are things like polarizing, storytelling, or shift perspective. So whenever you do storytelling, it's intimate, it's vulnerable, and it creates connection. People can relate, people like it. Anytime I share a story, like I shared about my divorce I just recently went through, anytime I share anything like that, it blows up. But when I put a quote out there, it falls flat. So nobody cares, right? So storytelling is good. Storytelling can be your journey story. It could be a client story journey. You don't even have to give names. You could just share things. You're creating vulnerability, relatability, so that people can emotionally connect. One thing you have to know about sales, it is 100% emotional. Sales is not a transaction. It is 100% emotional, which means if a person isn't emotional, good or bad, they're probably not buying. There has to be some kind of emotion there. And so when you do storytelling content, it does spark an emotion. People are like, oh, I feel that. Oh my God, but you know what? I needed to hear that today. That type of stuff right there gets people's attention. So one, we like to do storytelling, but it's also proof. It's also you demonstrating proof through client stories and case studies in your own experience, right? Different things like that. All of that, which is needed to build that trust and relationship with people that you want to buy from you on your buyers list, right? So that's one part. I love, one of my favorite types of content is polarizing. And polarizing, people tend to think that means like, oh my God, I'm not going to be rude and mean and like whatever. I'm not rude and mean. I feel like polarizing content is something that's going to kind of stop somebody in their tracks for a minute and be like, wow, you just said that. And not in a bad way, but like, I haven't heard anyone say that before. Or like, woo, I would have loved to have said that many times and never did. Good for you. Like, it's polarizing. Or when you go against the grain. So when you say something within your niche that everyone else is saying the opposite. I'll give you a couple examples. So one thing I'm known for, right, is I put out this statement many years ago that said that I don't believe in objections. I believe that objections are created. I believe they're preventable. In the sales process, I don't believe in objections. I'm not handling anybody's objections. I'm not working through your objections with you. I'm not going to tell you why your objections should be otherwise. So I'm a real big believer in objections are not normal. I think they're common, and I think they're created. I also think they're preventable. And if you think of however many years you've existed in the online space, have you ever heard anybody tell you objections are not normal in the sales process? 100% no. No one in the world has ever said that. I said that. That's polarizing. It stops people and they're like, wait, what? What? No one's ever said that, like ever in the world. That's polarizing. So you're thinking within your niche, right? The other thing I say is you absolutely do not, of course, a lot of people are saying this now, but you absolutely do not have to have sales calls to close high ticket. You don't ever have to do a sales call in your life if you don't want to. I don't care if your program's $100,000. I don't care who tells you have to do that. You don't. That is polarizing. Why? Because it's the opposite of what every other salesperson is going to tell you, right? Anyone in the world, marketer, salesperson, they're all going to tell you, you better know how to handle objections. You better get your boxing gloves on, get in the ring and fight for those sales because you're going to get objections. And my whole thing is take off your boxing gloves. We're not fighting for sales, right? I'm just polarizing. I'm the opposite of kind of what everybody else says. And people are attracted to that naturally because it's different. And because people are like, oh, I like what you're saying, right? Like, I like that better than get in the ring and fight for your sales. I like what you just said. So again, it's like, that's something I believe in. And that is something that I do and something I teach my clients. And so it's a huge risk for me to go up against billions of people and say stuff like that. But it's like, you're welcome. You're welcome, because like, I'm saying probably what other people don't dare to say or what they would like to hear, but they're not saying. And so I think if you think about your niche and you think about maybe some of your competitors or some of the trends or some of the common things within your niche that everybody always says, or that everybody is always like, do it this way, you do it that way, and it's this or it's that. If there's something that you actually think different about that, you should be verbalizing that loudly and proudly. That is going to set you apart. One of the biggest things right now is everyone in the online space is saying the same stuff. Everybody's talking about the same thing, doing the same thing, saying the same things. It's like, oh my, right? In order to like create like engagement and that polarization, you got to find something different to say. And for me, that's where I'm like, I don't do content the way other people do anymore. I do content with, what do I feel like I want to say today? What's on my heart? What's on my mind? What am I passionate about today? What do I feel like saying today? And then I create my piece of content for that. And so the polarizing is one piece I love. The other one is a shift perspective. Shift perspective content is non-negotiable in this market, because the shift perspective gets people to change their mind on how they think or view something within your niche. And the reason this is the most important piece of content is because you can't generate a sale if you can't change the way somebody is thinking. If someone is hell-bent that they can't do something and you're like, yes, you can, you guys are going to go to bat for that forever and you're not going to win. Like they're dead set. I always like to think about it like, think of I don't talk about this stuff, but like think about like politics, right? A Democrat's not converting a Republican, a Republican's not converting a Democrat. Like they stand strong where they're at, right? That's how you want to be in your content, right? You want to have content that you put out that you stand behind. So if people said, "Oh, I don't like it, I disagree," would you feel like, "Oh no, I shouldn't have posted it. Oh my God, I should delete it. Oh, I take it back. Oh, I'm so sorry." Do you apologize? I'm super unapologetic for anything I say. I will never apologize for what I say, because if I said it, I meant it. It was true for me, or I wouldn't have said it. That's how I create your welcome content. So every time I post a piece of content, it doesn't matter if it performs or it doesn't. It was true for me. It was my piece. You're welcome. It was said, done and done, right? And I'm not taking it back. I'm not deleting it. I'm not apologizing. I don't need to explain myself. There's a level of energy and confidence within my content that is very attractive. And shift perspective is going to get people to change their mind about, like, for example, you guys are here right now, and I'm trying to change your mind on content. I'm trying to show you something different than what everyone is telling you and what you think content needs to look like, or what you think you need to do with your content. I am shifting your perspective on that right now. I put out one piece of content per day, maybe two. It is my You're Welcome content, and it books sales chats in my DMs every day. I'm not on every platform. I will repurpose some from time to time on a couple platforms, but I'm not active and crazy. I'm not Gary Vee. I'm not creating 20 pieces a week. I have 5, max of 10 a week. If I do 2 a day, and that's not even every day, of content. I'm intentional with every piece I put out. I'm intentional, and I include either storytelling, shift perspective, or polarizing, or a combination. That's my process. And then a call to action and everything. And a call to action isn't necessarily buy a thing or pay for a thing, but it is something like comment this word if you want this, or DM this word for that, or book here, or fill out an app here, or request that here, or buy, or whatever. But there's always a call to action telling someone what I want them to do next. That's the other thing I see with content is people put stuff out there, and then in Sales Academy, they'll bring it to me to review. And I'm like, what did you want people to do from this piece of content? They're like, oh, I wanted them to book a call. And I'm like a sales call or a triage call? I wanted them to book a sales call. And when I look at it, I'm like, but you didn't tell them to do that. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, there's nothing here that says book a sales call or book a call, right? To talk about blah, blah, blah. Or they'll give a call to action, but the call to action is wishy-washy, right? It's like, comment or email or DM me. You're like, which one do you want me to do? I don't have time to figure it out, right? Or they'll say, book your free call. For what? What is the free call? Like, I don't understand what the call's for. And if you're trying to book sales calls, why are you saying free call? Do you see what I mean? So it's like, it's not so much about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So one of the things we do in my program is we're always looking at how you're saying what you're saying. So instead of saying, if you give me a piece of content and I look at it, instead of telling you that it's wrong, I'm going to say, what if we said that this way instead? So it's still your piece of content, but what if we said it this way? Right? So we infuse like a lot of human behavior because, again, the brain science tells us how a brain is functioning inside of a human when we are in a sales conversation or making a decision or a change. And so that's my background. So I know how to finesse that, and I know how to say, oh, you should have said this, or you could say it this way instead. That's going to work much better. I know how to do that, and I know where to do that in the conversations because that's my background, right? And so I think when it comes to content, you have to be way more intentional. You have to really look at the pieces of content that you're putting out and ask yourself, is this going to attract a champion client? Is this going to speak to that Gucci shopper? And is this going to tell them why they should do the action? And is the action I'm in or I'm out, yay or nay, yes or no? Is it that simple? And it's really looking at your content from that lens. And it's so you reverse engineer everything. It's like, what is your goal from this piece of content? And then reverse engineer what it needs to look like to create that outcome. If you practice doing that and you master that and you get really good at that and you do that consistently, you can put one piece of content out a day and have your chats filled with conversations. It's very simple. So those are the three main types of content that we teach in our programs that we like to put out. You want to really change people's perspective on things. So I like to actually, you guys could do this right now. You could write down like your top two. Like what are two common things? Think about your niche. What are two common things that your audience typically thinks about your niche? So for example, for me, my people think I have to create a lot of content and I need to be everywhere. And I have to have sales calls if I want to make money. And I have to deal with objections. To give you some examples, those are common things that people think about sales, which is my niche, that I disagree with. So I want you to think about two things where you're like, I disagree with that, or there's another way, a better way to do it that I really want people to know about that makes me different, right? Because if you do things differently than all of your competitors, that makes you stand out a little bit. That creates polarization, right? So if I tell you guys, you don't need to have sales calls to sell high ticket, and you also don't have to handle objections, you can prevent those. If I say that to you, and then the sales coach next to me says, 100% you need to have sales calls if you want to close high ticket, and absolutely you're going to deal with objections all day, every day. You guys are going to be polarized by what I just said, because she's saying the same thing everybody says. And I'm saying something totally different, right? And more desirable. So I want you to kind of think about your niche. What are a couple of common things? And you're like, I don't agree with that though. My way is better. Like the way that I do it, I think this is the better way. I think this is the more effective way, right? I want you guys to think about a couple of those things. I think because you could create content later, you could create a post around that, a polarizing shift perspective or storytelling post around that later. And what is that doing? It's shifting people's perspective. It's polarizing, and it's going to pull some of your people in. They're going to be like, "Ooh, okay, we heard you say that before," right? So think of a couple of things like that. Paola said, "What about value add posts?" My You're Welcome content is valuable every time I put it out. Every post, everything. It doesn't matter if it is like 5 words or 500. If I put something out, you're going to get value, or I wouldn't post it because it'd be pointless. So my motto is to make sure that each piece you put out has a value stack, right? So it is valuable, meaning like I'll usually ask myself, if my audience reads this post or this email, is it going to help them today? Is it adding value to their life today? So versus I put out 10 tips today and 5 quotes and, inspired people. I don't want to inspire. I want to get people into action. I want you to take an action. I want you to move. Meaning I want you to do something from my content, not just be like, oh, thank you. That was beautiful. I don't care if it was beautiful or not. That doesn't help the business, right? That's not the goal. Again, we're not content creators. We're service providers. We use social media to get clients who pay us for our services. Gary Vee uses content to get views, likes, and followers with a lot of content. Big difference, right? So each piece of content you put out, you should feel like that will be valuable for years to come, right? So I have content that we recycle from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and you guys rant and rave about it. I've said it a million times. I literally repurpose content I said years ago that I have said also a million times, and everyone still rants and raves about it when I put it out there. Because it's just good, solid content. It's not tips and quotes that expire. It's not about trends. It's not about like arguing about other people's points of views. This is what I feel like I'm called to say today. And it's my You're Welcome, right? And if I said it, it's true. So I never have to take it back, right? So each post you put out should have value. It should be valuable, right? Because again, remember, you want that You're Welcome. When you write a post or an email, if you don't feel like saying You're Welcome at the end of it, I would go back and revisit what you wrote. right? So when I write an email or a post at the end, sometimes you'll see, sometimes I will even, my signature will even sign off as "you're welcome." I've done that many times in my emails. "You're welcome." Because it's like, it's the energy of it. And it just hits people. They're like, damn, right? They kind of lean in a little bit. Again, it's polarizing. So you should feel the energy of like, that was solid. You're welcome. Like the world does not need anything from me today. That was so good. That was what was meant to be said, right? Because that's why you guys can get away with one piece of content a day versus 20 pieces a day, because you could put out 20 unmeaningful pieces of content that don't mean anything and you did it to check a box and say you did it for the algorithm. Or you could put out a piece of content where you're like, that right there, I feel so good about. That was so solid, right? And like trust that the right people are gonna see that. Okay, so that's kind of the thing with content. Some of the mistakes that I see, and again, guys, remember, just like 2024 and 2025, we have to do what I call disrupt, right? So we really need to disrupt the norm of what's going on within your niche right now. And part of that is your content, with you speaking differently and kind of saying something different. And it's not about lying, faking, or coming up with stuff. You really need to tap into what makes you so different in your niche. What makes you different? You're not the same as every other competitor that you have. There needs to be something different and unique about you. And it doesn't have to be magical. It can be as simple as like, my approach to how we do it is just different. Or my attitude and my energy when we do things is different. So, and another example is, I'm a really straightforward person. I'm blunt, I'm straightforward, don't typically have a filter. I will never lie to you. I will never tell you what you want to hear. I'll never beat around the bush. I will never be the lovey-dovey, softy, like cheerleader type. I'm like, let's go. Let's get those reps going. Let's get the dollars and cents in the door. Let's get your results. I'm that type of coach. That is super polarizing. Most salespeople are either really aggressive or they're really soft. So I have my own little attitude, my own little energy, which also makes me polarizing. So you standing out can be your personality. It can be your approach. It can be your technique for how you do something. It could be something that you believe in that is a little bit edgy or different. It could be all of that. It could be a little bit of all of that. Your job is to find your edge. It's for you to find what does make me different and unique. Because if you blend in and you say the same thing and you do it the same way and you do the same thing as all of your competitors, how do people choose between you guys? How do they say, I want this one because of this? Most people are like, Anne, I bought from you because of your freaking straightforwardness energy. Like, you just put it like it is, and I love that. And I just need someone to freaking tell me what to do. Like, I don't need people to, love me around this anymore. I need someone to just tell me what to do to get the result. That's my energy. It's who I am. I'm like that with my kids. I'm like that in my life. Like, it's just who I am. And so people either appreciate it, they love it, or they hate it. It's a great way to like cipher out your audience, right? Because they love you or hate you. Because you just are who you are. So I infuse a lot of that because it helps with my audience, but it also shows people right out of the gate, this is the type of coach I am. You love me or you hate me, right? And then people that love it are like, I can trust you. Because I know when you say something, it's your truth. You're just straightforward. You just tell it like it is. I love that, right? Other people hate that. So your job is to kind of figure out what that is for you and bring that into your content, bring it into your conversations, bring it into your brand, your energy, and everything that you do, right? If you're not the type of person to have like this gorgeous fancy background and beautiful lighting and you're like, oh my God, all that, then don't do that. If you're more like, hey guys, and you're out walking your dog, or you're doing something, you're at the beach with the kids, or you're cooking, or you're doing something, like, if that's who you are, you should do your videos doing those things, right? You should be cooking your dinner, doing the videos, if that's part of who you are and what you do and how you coach and all of that. I know I like to build a business around my lifestyle. So I have little Ella over here, my little French bulldog. If anyone knows about a bulldog, they snore very loud. Ella's 7 years old. She's been in almost every video I've ever done. She's usually on my lap or she's over here. She's a huge part of things. I could kick her out. Sometimes I have to. I could do that and be like, oh, whatever. Or I could be like, guys, if you have a kid, it's okay. If you have a baby on your hip or you're breastfeeding, it's cool. You can bring them on your Zoom videos. It's perfectly fine. If you have a dog, it's okay. There's boundaries, right? But what I'm saying is, like, I don't want a business where I have to lock people out or hide, or I can't live my life or be who I am. If someone is offended by something, that's really not a very happy business for me, right? If I need to tiptoe around and I need to watch everything I say and I have to be, that's not really a great business. And I spent 5 years in a business like that. When I was on welfare, the first coach I ever met was Gina DeVee. And if you know Gina DeVee, she used to be the top coach, very spiritual. I mean, you're talking Paris, you're talking glamorous. She was all about all of that, right? Fashion, business. And I was on welfare. She was the first coach. So I was like, I have to have videos like that. I have to wear jewelry like that. I have to look like that, to talk like that, to be a coach, to make money. That's what I thought. And so I would put all these, I would spend hours trying to prop a spot in my house, my little tiny apartment, and make it look fancy. And then put on all this fake jewelry. And I was trying to, like, I thought that's what I needed to do. And I'm like, this sucks. This is the worst thing. Like, I don't even like doing it. Like, I hated my business for years because I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do and what I thought other people expected. The second I stopped doing that, and I'm just like, boom, this is who it is. This is it. This is what you get. As soon as I did that, I blew up. I blew up because people were just like, it's you. It's you. It's like, I don't even care. I've had people join programs like, and I don't know what I just bought. I'm here with you though. That's good. I'm like, cool. Like, it is what it is, right? So I want to kind of encourage you guys to think about how you as yourself are showing up in your business, in your content, in your conversations, the energy behind it, and like the personality, and how are you different from 10 other coaches or 10 other people within your niche that we could like stand beside you. If you're standing beside 5 or 10 other people that do exactly what you do, how would you differentiate yourself from those people to the audience so that the audience could say, I either like you or hate you. I'm with you or I'm not, right? Like, I can decipher it's you because of this, right? So I want you guys kind of thinking about that a little bit and maybe write down some characteristics of you that are different or unique or quirky, or maybe how your lifestyle is a little bit different and you have to infuse that into your business because it is what it is, right? Or your points of view around your niche. Maybe you believe some different things or some different ways than like your audience or your competitors, and you really want to show people that. I want people to know objections are not normal. They are common. You create those. Like 100%, you guys create the objections. Okay? And so I want you to know that, because when you know that and you're equipped with that knowledge, you can change it. Most people just think, oh, objections are part of the sales process and I will forever have to put my boxing gloves on, get in the ring, and I will have to fight for every sale I ever have because that's what everybody says, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not. That's a choice and that's a mindset. And so I'm absolutely going to shout that from the rooftops. I'm absolutely going to make sure everybody knows that, right? Same thing with sales calls. If you don't ever want to do a sales call again in your life, you don't have to. And it doesn't matter if your offer or your services is $5 or it's $5 million. You do not have to have a call to close that sale. You can, probably should, but you don't have to. And there's other ways to do it. I'm going to shout that from the rooftops. I 100% am. I'm also going to tell you, you do not need to create 5 million pieces of content and be on every single platform all day, every day, and die at your desk to make a very little bit of money, right? Like, I'm also going to shout that from the rooftops because I don't believe that either, right? And so little things like that, you need to find that spark in yourself, because that's what's going to have you stand out, and that's what's going to have you look totally different. And the beautiful thing is, if it is who you are, you don't even really have to try. If it's what you truly believe, it's what, it's who you are, it's what you believe, it's your perspective, you don't even have to try. This is easy. So make sure that whatever it is, it's true to you, right? Because it's going to be really hard to sell something where you're like, I'm kind of faking it, right? Make sure it's really true for you, so it flows easy. You have to believe it. right? That's how you get other people to buy into your way, is you need to believe it first. You need to be solid, rock solid, confident with it. I'm so solid with what I do and my approach and how we teach that people buy easily from that, right? If I was insecure and not sure and I fumbled and stuttered over all that and I was here like tail between my legs, shrunk down in my seat, and I was all over the place and wishy-washy, you guys would, you wouldn't trust me, right? It wouldn't feel solid. Okay, I'm just kind of looking over here for a sec, guys. Okay, does this make sense with like content? So it's not about how much content you create, and it's not about what you say, it's about how you say what you say. Right? It's not about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. That is really, really important with your content. There's a few mistakes that most people make. I'm curious if you guys are doing any of these, so if you want to let me know in the chat. So the first one is you spend more time creating content than getting eyes on it. So 90% of the time, you should be actually focusing on getting someone to see one post. 90% of the time should be your effort on how do I get more people to see this one post versus let me create 10 more posts that nobody is seeing any of them. If you put out a you're welcome post today, 90% of your energy, your time, your effort should be to get as many eyeballs on that one piece of content than creating a bunch of other content. Does that make sense? Because most people in this economy right now, you guys are creating so much content and no one is even seeing any of it. No one's doing anything with it. Nothing is happening from it. And you're in constant creation mode. So we need to flip it, and we need 90% of your time and energy, 10% on creating the you're welcome post, 10% of your energy, 90% on how do we get more people to see it? How can I get more eyes on that one piece? Versus let me create 20 more pieces and try to get somebody to see something. Make sense, everybody? That is one of the biggest mistakes we see. The second is just like kind of what we were talking about. A lot of people are like a carbon copy of what everyone else is saying, or they're copying their coach. They're like, well, this is what my coach says, this is what my coach does, this is what I do. This is where you blend in. It's where you fizzle out. Like people just don't see, you don't stand out. You don't need to do anything fancy to stand out. You don't need to be a billionaire, you don't need to be Gary Vee, you don't need to do any, you don't need to create a ton of content, you don't need to be at your desk 24 hours a day, you don't need to be plugged in, tuned in, turned on every second of your life. You need to stand out by being who you are and infusing that in the things that you're doing. Right? You need to you have to have something meaningful to say today. And you need to disrupt the market. You need to shake it up a little bit and kind of disrupt what people are so used to. You got to shake it up a little bit. You got to kind of like reset a little and shake people up a little bit. That's how you're going to be seen in this economy. So again, it goes back to what we just spent quite a bit of time talking about doing in your content going forward. The other thing is you create random content that doesn't really have anything to do with like the work you do with your clients. So I see like people put out like a lot of quotes, a lot of tips. Sometimes they even share other people's quotes and tips. I'm like, how is that helping you get sales? How is that positioning your brand? How is that helping to educate your audience on what you do and how you help people? Where are you talking about the benefits of the work that you do so that people can decide if they want to talk to you? So people can say, oh, it's worth having a conversation or reaching out to her because she's explaining what she does and how she does it and all this, like helping me understand. Where's that content? Because here's what you need to remember. Everyone here uses social media to run a business. If a business doesn't have their sign open, right, their open sign turned on every day, and if you're not telling people you have offers and you have services and you have solutions to their problems and you have a way to support people, how do they buy from you? And a lot of people are like, everybody knows that I have this. I've talked about it before. But they don't. You could say it 20 times today and 1% of your audience will see it. So today you could go post and talk about your program 20 times and 1% of your audience will see it. It's not nearly enough. It's not nearly enough. I don't want you guys to just focus on creating random content just to please the algorithm. Organic algorithm reach is like flatline right now. You got to drive people to your content. The algorithm is not in your favor, right? It's in Gary Vee's favor. It isn't in ours. It's not in mine. It's not in your guys's. Like the organic algorithm is not in your favor right now. It's not going to help you. That's why everybody's content is flat. You have to drive people to it. You have to lovingly force people and drive them to the piece. So I want you creating less random content, more meaningful, your welcome content. And then I want you doing 90% of your focus. How do I get more people to see it? Where else could I get people to see this? How else could I get people to see this? And that should be your focus with your content, not in constant creation mode saying, let me check a box, I created 5 pieces today, right? The other thing is I see a lot of people pitch way too much in their content. So it's like a lot of pitchy posts, like selling your program, talking about your program, talking about your offer. Here's something with sales. Nobody cares. I don't care about anyone's offer. I don't care about anyone's course. I don't care about anyone's modules. I don't care about your checklists. I don't care about the calls and the sessions and 45 minutes versus an hour or Monday over Tuesday. I don't care. None of that tells me how you're helping me. None of that gives me a reason to pull out my credit card. None of that does that for me. Nowhere in all of that pitch did I understand specifically what my result will be and what I'm walking away with, or what you're helping me do, and why what you're going to help me do is better than what I'm doing right now. Nowhere in the content do I see that. And so I think, again, in content, it's a lot of like me, I, my thing. And we really need to stop doing that, because it's content that people drown out. They don't want to hear it. Right? And so we kind of teach our clients, like, we don't drop links typically in our content. We have you comment or DM us. Once in a while, we'll put a link in the comments or maybe in the post, depending on what it is. But social media does not like you dropping links and taking people off their platform. They will not show that post to anybody because they don't want you doing that. The other thing is, I said this yesterday, the person that makes the most money is the person who has the most conversations. So whoever's having the most conversations is going to make more money than anybody else. I always know if someone is having conversations based on how much money you make. I can always tell you, if you're not making much money, you're not talking to enough people. Whoever can have the most conversations is always going to make the most money, because the money is in the conversations. It's not in your content. Content will get you conversations, so we need lots of those. But your dollars and cents in the bank are going to come directly from conversations in this market. So we need to be talking to a lot of people. So when you put content out, if you're not directing people to talk to you, how are you booking conversations? If your content is just giving people information and then you're dropping a link, how are you tracking that? How are you building know, like, and trust? How are you following up with them? How are you having a conversation? How are you qualifying them? How are you building enough of an awareness for them to say, oh my God, I want that? You're just pitching, right? What we do is we share value on solutions and how we help our clients gain those solutions. We do polarizing content, shift perspective content, storytelling content in a post, and then a call to action is a comment or a DM. Meaning, we need to talk to you. One thing you guys will notice is you cannot buy our high ticket programs on social media. You will never find a link to do so. You'll never find a sales page. You'll never find a link. You'll never be able to go off and find information about our programs without speaking to us. The only program you'll ever be able to do that with is our membership, because it's low ticket. Our Sell with Conviction membership is a low ticket, so we just sell that. But our high-end programs that help you make actual money, you're not going to find a sales page. You're not going to be able to go scout the internet and find a page where you can go away and you can like scan a page and review information. You actually have to talk to us. You can't find our prices. You can't find the information. You're not going to be able to find a page, no links. That's intentional, because we want to qualify and talk to people, and you have to qualify to get in our programs. Everybody just does not get in our programs. So social media favors some of our content because we don't do heavy links. And also our content is good and valuable because we're not pitching. even when we are talking about our program, we're not pitching. Because the way, remember, it's not what you're saying, it's the way you're saying it. The way we talk about our program is different. It's totally different from what you guys do and what you see other people do. If you go look at my Facebook profile, for example, and you scroll down and you just kind of check out some of our content, you're kind of going to see what I'm talking about. Even if we are somewhat talking about our program or how we help or inviting people to talk about working with us, you will still see it's not like a pitch. You'll read it and you'll be like, I don't see the pitch, but I want to know about the program. Right? But there's no actual pitch because we're not doing that. And you're not going to find a link, right? Because we're not doing that. So there is an intention and strategy. I would be very careful in this market about being super pitchy or being like, we, my, this, my course, my this, my that, my programs, I would just stop doing that. It's just really not going to get results in this economy, right? Okay, and then the other one is your content is usually, I see a lot of content positioned for the biggest struggler in your niche. So a lot of times people think that the person that needs your help the most is the person struggling the most. And I actually disagree with that because you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. And it takes a lot longer to move somebody from like idleness or stillness and get the momentum going than it does someone who's already kind of got some movement going. So if you think about making money, because that's what we're here for, right? Yes, we want to help the world. We want to help everybody. It's not possible. You also need to make money. That is your number one goal. So if you're looking at making money, you need to talk to people and you need to put solutions in front of people and create content that attracts people who have money, that attracts people that are invested in their solution, in their problem, solving their problem, fixing their thing, reaching a goal, whatever it is. You always have to be intentional. Like, is this speaking to that person? Is this piece of content going to attract that person? If they saw it, would they stop and look at this? 90% of what I see going on, I'm like, that is speaking to someone who has no money. That is speaking to someone so stuck in their struggle. That is speaking to someone super broke. Like, that is not going to attract people with money to spend in this economy. You have to really speak to a higher volume, and it does mean that you actually have to rise up and elevate a little bit, right? It means like your mindset, your confidence, your energy, your language, your price points, you do have to rise up to match that. But what we see in content a lot is it's like speaking to the biggest struggler of all. And there's a reason those people are struggling so bad, right? Like, and again, I come from poverty. I struggled really bad for 5 years because I chose to. Because my mindset was there. And it also did not matter what people said around me. I was very stuck in that mindset, right? So it takes an army and it takes a village to make an impact. So where are you getting your army? And where are you getting your village? It's going to be from the people already doing the movement, already taking action. You can move them people fast. And then that creates the ripple effect of impact. So I'll give you an example. If I want to create an impact, right? And I want hundreds of people to make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars with what I teach. Let's just say that's my goal. It is. Let's say that's my goal. Do you guys think I should go to a pool of entrepreneurs who are struggling the most in their life and their business and their mindset and their finance, everything? That's just struggle. Should I go to them and say, hey, come help me make an impact, a ripple effect impact? That means get up, invest in my program, show up, do the work, and then go help your people do it. And let's keep that going. Am I going to have more luck getting that done by going to those people or going to the people that are like, I'm already doing some things. I'm already working with some clients. I'm already making some offers. I already know my niche. I already have this going. I need help with it all, but it's moving and I've already made some investments. I'm willing to invest because I'm serious about it, right? Like, who do you think is going to help me build that army, that village, that ripple effect of impact quickly and easily with a lighter lift? It's going to be really hard to move the struggling group. It's going to be a heavy lift. It's going to take a long time. It's going to be a lot of coaching for me to even get them to move. versus the people that are already moving. I'm just gonna move you along faster. Does that analogy make sense to you guys? So when you're creating content, you have to pay attention to who you're talking to. Because once you make a lot of money, you can go help those other people that are really struggling. But you cannot help them if you can't feed your family today. Do you guys see what I'm saying? It is a mindset shift. It was one of the hardest mindset shifts for me because I'm very sensitive to the strugglers, because I was that person and I was there and I get it, right? So for me, it was like, oh, I really want to help them. But you know what? The way I've been able to help them is by me making a ton of money. That's how I'm able to help them. I can't help them if I don't have that. If I can't feed my family or pay my bills, I cannot help those people that are struggling. Right? So in order for you to help the people that are struggling the most, you got to round up and rally your army of people that are like, let's go, let's do this. We're already doing it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. And then you get those guys going. And that's where you're able to create a really global impact. Does that make sense for everybody? So that's another thing I see in content. It's like we're speaking to the bottom of the barrel and you want to make this global impact and make all this money. And it's like, you're not going to get blood out of a turnip. You're definitely not going to get from somebody what they don't have. So what do you need to do? If I want to help people who have $0, then I'm going to need to make a lot of money so that I don't lose money if I turn around and give them something free or spend some time with those people to help them. But I can't do that if I'm broke. I can't do that if I can't pay my bills. I can't focus on those people, right? So that's another thing with your content. Okay. Do we have any questions about the content pieces that we went over today? Any questions, thoughts, takeaways on any of that? You guys can unmute and ask or just drop them in the chat if you have any questions about it. Let me just look over here for a second in the chat for a second. Okay. I don't think there was anything crazy in here. I think I answered all of those. Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to kind of come in with you guys. I want to round out our session. Tomorrow will be the last session. I am going to talk about 7-figure strategies for rapid sales growth. It doesn't mean you need to be at 7 figures, obviously. I'm sharing with you advanced strategies that any of you guys could do and apply that are going to increase your sales growth. It's going to rapidly increase your sales growth. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to share some of our top ways that we have been able to do that, and just give you guys like a list so you can start to cherry pick. There'll be something for everybody. You can probably pull any of these strategies and make something happen with them. I want to bring that to you tomorrow. And then if we have questions in the Facebook group, we could probably do like a bonus Q&A Friday, where we could just kind of open up the room and you could go over what you learned this week and you could pull questions apart from it and, you know, bring those to the call. If we have enough of them, we would do that. If not, that's fine. Replays are inside the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, make sure you get in there because that's where the replays live right now. They're there till next Friday. If you want to have them after that for life, we're going to bring it to the public for $47. Otherwise, you have till next Friday to just get through those. They're all in the Facebook group. We're trying to get those posted as quickly as possible for you guys. If any of you have questions about Sales Academy and you want to see if that would be a good fit for you, if that would be something that might help you increase your sales each month, definitely reach out to us. Let us know. Check your DMs. I think we've sent a few of you guys a DM just to check in and follow up with you. But let us know. We're happy to see if that is something that we could partner with you and help you guys get to 10+ months for sure. Otherwise, I will see you guys here tomorrow, 1 p.m., same Zoom link. I'll see you guys soon, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. Okay, bye, everybody.